Namaskar. I have some exciting news for you. I'm traveling all the way from the United States to be part of Kriya Mahotsav, a 5-day event that is no ordinary conference. And this has the template for what the future holds for Sanatana Dharma, how one should be able to involve oneself wherever they are in whatever facet, and how does one further this concept, this great civilizational model called Sanatana Dharma. And I'm going to be talking about the dharmic model that was in use and how the world needs to adopt it and what is the American perspective on that. Again, this is no ordinary conference, and I have a small video that follows this to tell you all the different speakers, what are they going to be talking about. And this is a 5-day event. It's a wonderful, wonderful place to come see and experience what it feels like when we give you the vision of what it holds for the world in the decades to come. Please do donate to this cause, and that comes at the very end of this promo, just 40 seconds. And please help us make this a grand success. Namaskar. As far as I'm concerned, 2026 can't come soon enough. The DMK has to go. Some of the things that they have done is totally egregious, and I also would encourage all of you to watch shorts that are recorded on this very topic about DMK calling a 3-day period of mourning for the passing of the Pope. So this begs the question, whose country is this? Who is in majority? Who's asking for this? And why are they doing it? For whom do the bells of DMK toll? That is the question. So I'm going to give you some information that's probably going to shock you. Those of you who have been following the politics of DMK may not know this, but at least I want to make sure that I present with you all the data that we have thus far and why it's high time that DMK be shunted out of power in 2026. You can see a sense of panic that is setting in because they think that they may even lose their Christian vote bank, and hence perhaps this 3-day mourning. But will that all be enough? What are the issues, and why is it that the DMK is doing all this, and why is it giving this open season, carte blanche, to some groups in Christian church that are essentially ensuring that their flock remains poor forever? I have a small slide deck to present for you. Please like this video, and if you have not already subscribed to our channel, kindly do so right away. Here we go. Why the DMK must go. Multiple parties, including the Congress, the DMK, even the ADMK, had a vested interest in opposing any big projects from coming up in Tamil Nadu, which is why many of us are skeptic whether ADMK, a coalition with them, will really work. Let's hope that even if there is an ADMK CM, that the actual driving, if there should be a coalition in government in 2026, that the person driving it will make sure that things that are national interest should go through. So what happened in the port of Colachel? A big missed opportunity. What had happened was the ADMK government, which also did not want Colachel. By the way, the thing was first commissioned by Jayalalitha. Jayalalitha saw the merit in this, and she had sanctioned 87.75 crores in 2013. But then the subsequent ADMK governments, well, they wanted to not have it, so they fast-tracked the sanction of a fishing harbor at the same location to derail the Colachel Port. What was so compelling about Colachel Port was that it was naturally a deep sea port. So you need, if you want to have a serious handling operation, you need to have a deep sea port. You shouldn't have to dredge it, because if you dredge to create a deep sea port, then you have to constantly dredge. And if there's a naturally occurring deep sea port, that lasts for a long time. Now, what is exactly the reason why all this is happening? Whether it is the ADMK or the DMK, they both are after the minority vote, and both want to appease them no end. Why is the Catholic Church leading the protests and all these things? Because they want their flock to be poor. They don't want to break out of the poverty, and then they start asking questions. Why are you saying this? Why are you doing this? And they may even start voting for BJP. So they are afraid that their hold will weaken if the people are allowed to become prosperous. So what do? They won't let any economic opportunities come by. They also will oppose anything that comes across tooth and nail, for which they are being paid from various sources. That's what is alleged. Now, the interesting thing, how many things have they stopped? Sterlite plant. By the way, now the Sterlite plant has been taken out, uprooted from Tuticorin, and is now functioning in Gujarat. That's a goner. Kudankulam, they have supposed to have 4 or 5 nuclear reactors. Only 1 is functioning. They are not allowing 2, 3, and 4 to come up. I don't know if it's 4 or 5. It doesn't matter. Basically, these people don't want it to function. Where are they going to get the electricity? Well, that is not my problem. I just don't want this, because it can be a hazard. The people, semi-literate, illiterate, rascals, scoundrels, thugs, this is what is their vocal segment that starts issuing all kinds of threats if somebody starts asking questions. And these are the ones setting the narrative and cowing down the people from asking inconvenient questions. Now, what had happened in Sterlite protests is something that is hard to believe. Hunger strikes and dharnas were organized by the Kanyakumari District Fishermen Federation, allegedly backed by the church. The strategic aim is to maintain socio-political control over the impoverished coastal Christian communities to prevent their economic independence. One of the reasons why they are so abject poor is because normal fishing, which is using your catamarans and other cheap boats, has completely vanished. Once the mini trawlers came and the trawlers came, they have just essentially gone to the root base of the ocean and scooped up everything, even embryos. And unless you lay off for 4 or 5 years, that stuff is not going to come back. So what they do is they don't have anything here. They have to go outside to middle of the sea, and the middle of the sea catch is different from the coastal catch, and that's why they go and stray into Sri Lankan waters, and they try to fish there and steal that fish, and the Sri Lankan fishermen don't like it, which is why the arrests happen. And all this thing, who are the owners of these trawlers? I've told you this before. 𝗦𝗏𝗍 ecosystem, whether it is ADMK or DMK, both parties have hand in this. Same way, both parties are controlling many distilleries. So both are making money hand over fist from TASMAC. See, this is a vicious circle. Unless BJP comes to power and systematically breaks down all these things, they own the colleges, they own many of the industries. Anything that makes money, the political leaders of the 𝗏𝗏 parties have a hand in it. So this is going to be not easy. Even if 2026 𝗏𝗏 comes to power as a CM, he will not allow a lot to happen. You have to wait, bide, be patient, and come in 2031 as a BJP-owned majority, and then start setting this thing right. That's what I think will happen. We'll wait and see how it goes. So what happened with the Colachel Port? China did not want this Colachel Port to come up. Why? It was directly going to be in competition with Chinese interests. So what did they do? They are allegedly funding all the parties, and they were giving the money to obstruct strategic infrastructure development. The Colachel Port, if developed, would have competed with Colombo Port in Sri Lanka, Port Klang in Malaysia and Singapore, threatening Chinese maritime interests. So they don't want it. Ironically, the VOC port test in Tuticorin, the employees staged protests claiming Colachel would eat away their business. I mean, Port Trust is a shallow port. That is not a deep sea port. It's got nothing to do with it. So somehow whip up passions, whip up frenzy, tell lies, and try and get people to browbeat them into following what you're saying. This is what many of the segments of churches are alleged to be doing, especially in Deep South, where the population has stayed abjectly poor because of the things I told you about how their basic means of livelihood, which is fishing, has been robbed from them. And then when they became poor, the church came in, they bribed them with money, converted them, and then once they converted, they have a hold on how much economic money funding, even if there is like a cyclone and the relief has to go through the church, even though there is an administrative apparatus. This is how much the DMK or the ADMK government has kowtowed to these interests, because they think that if they offend them, they will not get any votes. So not only did they not allow anything to happen at Colachel, they also opposed any kind of funding that was going into Colachel. Now, what was so compelling about Colachel? And I'll tell you outcome of all these things. Colachel was a naturally deep sea port. There are only few natural deep sea ports in India. Mumbai comes to mind, Vizag comes to mind, and Colachel could have become one of the deep sea ports. The collector of Kanyakumari held a public meeting with the locals at a local church and subsequently recommended shifting the project to Inayam village. See, this is where even the collector is forced to toe the line of the ruling party in power, whether it was DMK or ADMK. They both say, do whatever the church says, because that is their vote bank. They will get jeopardized, so do this thing. Don't ask any questions. This is the kind of dictum that comes down. Now, Inayam, the place that they were recommending as an alternative, is not even 40 kilometers from Vizhinjham, where there is already a port construction going on, where the CPM government has already given the rights to Adani. Why would you have two deep sea ports in just 40 kilometers apart? Makes no sense. Not only that, Inayam could not have a deep sea port. So look at how they have made this thing like a non-starter, which means Tamil Nadu will not get a deep sea port. All the jobs, all the prosperity that will come will not be there. And now that part is now going to Vizhinjham. Who shall we thank for this? The churches that are controlling these people. And many of them are debauched scoundrels. Catholics are supposed to be celibate. This is like one of those oxymorons now. And whenever some nun takes the courage to complain and file a legal lawsuit, they go after her mercilessly, make sure that they don't open their mouth. This is the most abusive community, the way they have really run the whole state of affairs. Now, when Vizhinjham Port faced resistance, because the same group went there also, they tried to stop them, saying that the Christians are saying that, oh, this will take away our livelihood. The usual BS. In fact, I had 𝗤𝗏 Mohandas come and explain the pros and cons of the Vizhinjham Port. And Vizhinjham Port is like only 11 kilometers from the international deep sea lines. So that is like a very, very close point, so that they can just take that 11 kilometers detour to come and land at the Vizhinjham Port. But right now, the way things are, in Vizhinjham, both parties, that is the Left Democratic Front as well as the UDF, they have come together and said, we have to make this thing go forward, because Kerala is in a much worse shape as far as getting new projects. Now, much of Vizhinjham's construction material as well as labor come from Tamil Nadu. And the problem is, now the Tamil Nadu labor goes and does all the work there, and unfortunately, a port that can create jobs in Tamil Nadu is gone. But more importantly, the Vizhinjham port also needs a lot of dredging work. It's not like Colachel. Colachel was the best fit for this. And because of some vested interest, that's not going to happen now. How are you going to break this? These are some of the problems that India faces, especially the Modi government. I mean, it is easy for us to blame them and say, you are doing nothing, you are doing nothing. But you don't know the kind of pushback they are getting here, there, and everywhere. Protests happened in 2022 in Latin-based church organizations who were goading the local fishermen in Vizhinjham to agitate. But luckily, even after a police station getting vandalized, the CM as well as the opposition parties stayed firm, and the construction is going on. So now what we are going to have is a not so deep sea port with a lot of work, maintenance work, going to be run by Adani, and this is going to essentially be more expensive as a port for India, and they are going to let go of Colachel, which was a naturally occurring deep sea port just less than 100 kilometers from where this Vizhinjham port is now coming up. Very sad state of affairs. Now, why is this happening? What is the long-term strategy of church? I've already told you about this a long time ago, about how they want to create a new Christian state out of Sri Lanka's Christian parts as well as Tamil Nadu's Christian parts, and this has been their dream for a long time. Fortunately, the FCRA funding has stopped, so that's put a break in their efforts. Some districts in deep south are no longer converting. That is frustrating them. Plus, some of their kukarma are also coming home to roost. Some of them may face jail. They'll go underground. They'll escape to Sri Lanka. They'll escape to Rome, and then they'll say that the minorities in India are being discriminated. All the bullshit that comes with this. They are going to do all that stuff. But first, you need to make sure that you stop the conversion. In some districts, it has stopped, but not in all districts. However, the people in Tamil Nadu are now much more vigilant about these things, and they are opposing tooth and nail. But nothing to be said for the Dravida parties. Now, the foreign aid that is coming in to try and egg all these elements on, that has also taken a bit of a backseat, although I'm also hearing that many have now started creating fake software company organizations, like the one that Veena, who's the daughter of Pinarayi Vijayan, is facing in Kerala, where no work was done. Some invoices came to her software company and the money got paid. So this kind of stuff is also happening in Tamil Nadu. These are all offices that share the same address as a church and say that they did some XYZ software, but they can't explain what that XYZ software does or is, and they can't explain how they're getting funded or they are getting money to the tune of thousands of crores of dollars for this non-functioning software. This is also going on right now. Now, there's another problem. The Chinese also are after the DMK. They are reportedly swayed by Chinese interests, especially in derailing projects, and this especially the Colachel Deep-Sea Port is just one of them, because Chinese don't want that. Essentially, now what is happening is, I have progressed to a level, I'm not going to allow you to succeed economically. This is what both America and China are doing. America is a little bit more easier to catch when they do stuff. China is a lot more deeper, because they control a lot of politicians in many countries, and this is really sad. I mean, their modus operandi, we all know: honey trapping, then afterwards use some other means to keep these people in control. DMK has sided with vested interests, and they have been blocking key central maritime projects, just giving that this is going to damage the ecosystem, climate. Bullshit. These guys can't even read, write English properly. How can they make these kind of arguments? I'm telling you, these are street thugs turned ministers. That's all I can say. Not all, but you know who I'm talking about. That's what is the level of the ministers in DMK government. Projects like INAYAM and Colachel, which could position Tamil Nadu as a global port hub, remain in limbo due to this appeasement that DMK likes to do. But I'm afraid that even if ADMK were to come, they might do something very similar. However, if there's a coalition with a strong BJP presence, maybe the BJP will be able to see clear through some of these things, assuming that they are not also under the control of China, to at least shake this thing up a little bit. Let's wait and see how this goes. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.